All right, we're going to get started here with the first vBrownBag of the day. First, I'd like to thank you guys for coming, Explore. I'm sure we all came in from all over the place here. Thank you to vBrownBag for having me. And today we're going to talk about, have you hugged your Global Support Services TSC today? No, I'm not a TSC. I'm good with the hugs, but we're going to go with that. So we're going to, quick agenda, let's stop and think about it a little bit. We're going to do some tales from the field, and then how can we make it better? And then next time you can give your TSC that well-deserved hug. So let's stop and think about it here. How many of us started our IT careers in a service desk, call center, all right? How many of us are still there? Okay, so maybe I was counted one off there. But how many of you guys call your GSS support and ask them how their day's going? Yeah, you do all the time, man. Yep, that's what I thought. So, just kind of think about it, right? GSS, it's a tough job, right? We've all been a service desk. We all been in those type of roles. So, the whole point of this conversation today is like, how can we make that process, the support process, better? All right. As a TAM here, GSS the GSS TSCs are an integral part of the customer support organization, but we need to know or let them give them the information up front to help them to provide us the information on the back end. So, shameless plug, as a TAM. If you're working with your TAM and your SSM, right, they will be your advocates. So make sure, stop, collaborate, and listen, right? No, I'm not going to throw up a vanilla ice, right? So make sure you explain your environment, right? Not only to the TSC, to your TAM, to your SSM, right? Because they can then go on the back end and advocate for you guys, right? That's what part of customer success, and that's what we do. So, tales from the field. These are true life lines. I'm not even going to call them descriptions. Line in the description field. When I've seen from customers, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus here, right? This is what was in the description field. Even though, yes, there is inputs for products and versions and stuff like that. When you put in a description like, my vCenter upgrade failed, it's really not going to help them out. You know, and then one of my personal favorites, the big SAP server is slow, right? That's a good one. And then vCenter host goes out. I mean, if the TSCs can answer these, help you out with just these descriptions, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. And my favorite of all time, VMware is broke. The whole company, guys. Everything is broke. But no. But generally, when you put in descriptions like this in the description field, right? You get the old email coming back, right? Please upload logs. You know, what's the production impact? Current state of the environment. What have you done, right? So to save time, I like to quote my friend Gary V here, right? If you put effort up front, you get effort out in the back end. So effort is grossly underrated, right? But so you're saying, Matt, how can I help my TSC? So I've used with my customers over the 8 years that I've been a TAM here at VMware, a template, and I'm not going to say it wasn't my idea. I actually stole it from another TAM, a former TAM that worked at a very large, worked for a very large customer. But come up with a template. So first part of the template, right? Who here is using Skyline? Come on, we need more hands than that. Come on. If you're not using Skyline, there's a TAM session on it, how to get started, come see me, we'll talk, right? All right, first thing with the SR template, right? If you have Skyline, provide your Skyline organization name and ID, and then also your entitlement account, right? That should all be part of your SR, right? The second thing is the basics. What are we looking at? FQDN, IP address, data center name, host name, right? If they're going into logs, What are they going to be looking at, right? They're going to look for big SAP server, right? Oh, what time? You know, so the second pieces here are the second questions here, and this will all, I have a repo you can download the text and document from before, right? Is log assist, right? If we can get them the logs faster, that ultimately helps you guys out a lot sooner, right? What's being impacted? vCenter hosts, VMs, data stores, right? We need to let them know what it is. Are you experiencing a PSOD? Did you take a screenshot of the PSOD, right? Put all that into your SR ahead of time, and things will go a lot smoother, right? And then everyone asks, so what changed? It's DNS. It's the networking team, right? No. And then another very critical piece of information is the time frame. Always put your time frame in up front, otherwise they will come back and ask you a question, and we're back into that SLA game again, right? We want to provide all the information up front. Is this a reoccurring problem, and can it be reproduced, right? And if it is, when was the last time you reproduced it, right? And again, it goes back to that time frame. What was the error message? Did you take a screenshot of the error message? Oh, no, I didn't, my bad, right? Always take your screenshot. And then the third pieces here are be very specific with versions and builds. Yes, they ask you for those inputs, but those inputs are only for a single product, right? We often run into situations where it's two different products, right? VROPS and vSphere, vCenter, different versions in vSphere close, or in vSphere clusters, but that's a whole different problem, and your TAM should get you to do something about that. If you're dealing with a virtual machine, type of OS, the build of the OS, VMware tools versions, right? These are all questions that the TSC will come back and ask you, right? Hardware version, NIC types, right? All that stuff. You know, what are the steps to reproduce the problem? What have you done yet? Or what have you done already, right? What troubleshooting have you gone through to solve the problem? If you let him know or let them know ahead of time, right? Again, that'll save you hours, right? And a brief description of all the screenshots and logs you attach. So you're making sure that they're looking at the latest version of that log, the latest version of that screenshot. That's also, you know, kind of guide them through your issue. And then, what's the impact, right? How many users is it affecting? Is it causing a work stoppage, right? Is it a revenue generating event, right? If you open up a Sev2 and it's a revenue generating event, that's a problem, right? We need to make sure that the TSC understands, and if you're working with your TAM or SSM, that they understand what the severity is, and we can get to a resolution faster. So, when is not a good time to use the SR template? For those of you that have are virtual speaking fans out there, fire, flood, blood, right? Get the GSS TSC on the line before you fill out an SR template. Yes, it helps afterwards as you're engaging with the TSC to have somebody else start filling that out, because that'll essentially build that timeline and information that you'll be needed to provide to the TSC, right? It's great for Sev2, Sev3 incidents. It's great for building that run book and plan for your Sev5 proactive tickets, right? But fire, flood, blood, if your data center's on fire, not a good time to use it. Can't stress that enough. So you can go out and download the SR template. There's a doc, Word doc out there as well. But just the more information you provide, give the TSC a warm hug, the better off, or the more effort that you're going to put in pre-SR, right? Generally, the better information is you'll get out in the end. So check out the link, download the SR template, use it. Let me know how it went. I'm open to feedback and stuff that I may have forgot. So that's just one of the many tools that we as VMware TAMs have kind of in our toolbox that we use to make sure that you guys get the support that you guys deserve. So call your TSC, ask them how his day is going before you get into talk shop. All right, thank you.
I'm up. Okay. Can you hear me now? All right, thank you. So when I submitted this session, I thought it was a very good idea if someone could explain why we should use network virtualization in our data center in 12 minutes. Now that I have to deliver it, I don't think the same way. So I'll figure out a way to go over this quickly. So I thought to play safe, maybe I will present you these 9-box use cases for NSX you've seen a lot of times. But yeah, does it make sense? You've seen it a lot of times. So I want to focus what I think it is really important. And it is the real use case that we want to consider is private cloud. And the reason we want to consider private cloud is because your data center must be a private cloud. You cannot treat it like your normal data center anymore. Because in a multi-cloud environment, you're going to compete with private cloud, multiple cloud providers, and your application owner will have an option to deploy their applications wherever they want. So your private cloud must be efficient and compete with the public cloud. So those are all the characteristics of a cloud, specifically public private cloud, and how NSX and network virtualization can help achieve those characteristics. But I'm not going to spend any time on this because it's too long. I really want to focus on a specific area of this that we don't cover much, that is efficiency, that is cost. Fundamentally, if our private cloud must be competitive, it must be cost efficient. And to be cost efficient, it must run hot. That means that you cannot waste resources. So your CPU, memory, all the dimensions of your private cloud must be consumed. So in the early days of virtualization, the problem was a bidimensional problem. You had CPU and memory, and your unit of scale was a single host. And you had more workload to add to your data center, you added a host. And the problem you might have is that you had still CPU available, but the memory was not enough, so you're fundamentally wasting CPUs. In a private cloud, the dimensions to consider are many more. We have storage, with vSAN of course, but then with networking, we have a lot of other dimensions to consider. So we have the bandwidth of your top-of-rack switches, the bandwidth of your PNICs, also all the management plane level numbers, like the number of security groups, the number of segments, the number of VMs that you can support. And all those scale numbers you must kind of design around them so that you are not wasting resources because you want a cost-efficient cloud. So as a first goal for our network solution, we don't want to waste resources. We don't want to force you to buy new hardware when you don't need it just because our solution and in general our network design doesn't scale the way your compute must scale. So in traditional networking, what you would have is that you would have dedicated racks dedicated for different environments. And this is because you have your VLANs there and your span of control is a single rack. And that means you're wasting top-of-rack resources. Because, for example, you see that red environment, this could be your VDI environment. We allocated 2 racks for that, but you want to still have expansion space for that. So you leave some space. You have a new environment there, just 2 servers, but you need to leave space because if you need to expand that environment, you need to have room to grow. With virtualization, we are able to kind of decouple the fundamentally the life cycle and the unit of scale of compute and networking. So from a networking perspective, you are scaling your infrastructure by new racks and new top-of-rack switches. From a compute side, you're scaling your infrastructure buying new hosts. And you want to be able to scale those 2 dimensions completely independent so that your purchasing power, the moment you have a purchase order, you have the budget for a specific project, those 2 are not tied together. So you got the money to expand your VDI environment, you can put those servers wherever you want, or this could be a multi-tenant environment. And you fundamentally spend the money on the network only when you need a new rack overall, not per environment. Also from a bandwidth perspective, a way that we can alleviate the pain of the physical network is removing hotspots for high bandwidth environments. So if you have an application that is pushing a lot of traffic, the top-of-rack oversubscription to the spine could be a bottleneck. Now with network virtualization, we can spread that load across multiple racks so that those hotspots is reduced. And this for east-west traffic, but also for our north-south services with our edges, you can deploy edges on demand. How much time I have? Okay, I just talked for 5 minutes. So this is from an efficiency perspective in terms of life cycle management of your resources. But also to have a cloud in the private cloud, you want to align to the consumption model. So fundamentally provide a self-service way to provision the infrastructure. And that must be a multi-tenant infrastructure so that you have more high efficiency, you can run multiple tenants on the same hardware. So with NSX and in general with vSphere, with our product line, we have been very good at doing multi-tenancy at the data plane level. So for example, I'm talking networking here. We could do isolation with distributed firewall for different tenants. We could do separation with different T1s or VRFs at the layer 3 level. But what we couldn't do is really providing a way for our end user to go in and provision their configurations and their topologies in a self-service way. The only way we could do that was to layer a cloud management platform on top of that, like vCloud Director, or deploying a lot of different NSX domain, like we are doing VMC and AWS, where every SDDC has their own NSX domain. But the multi-tenancy problem is not just with configuration, it's also with day 2 operations and logging and analytics. So if you are converging all your tenants on the same infrastructure, how are you providing, for example, your distributed firewall logs to each of the different tenants? Because they are all going to be in the same syslog. So we want to separate that too. And that is why we have this new concept of VPC and projects, so multi-tenancy in NSX, that will let you slice the management plane of the NSX platform in different isolated containers in a way that every user is able to provision in a completely self-service way a topology, firewall rules, networking without affecting the configurations of other users. And also this consumption model, if we use VPC, is going to be overly simplified. So we have 2 tenancy models, projects and VPC. The first tenancy model is just a slicing of the NSX configuration, but still retaining the same configuration option. So you still have your T0, T1 segments, and if you are infrastructure admin, you can segment the infrastructure domain in different line of businesses, for example, for your finance, HR, different departments. But then we have the VPC segmentation that is really targeted at application owner and people that are familiar with how networking works in the public cloud, so that you can really offload these networking and security configurations to users that you don't give them access directly to NSX. One reason was that you didn't have a way to do that, because otherwise they would mess up your entire infrastructure. But the other thing is that it was too hard. They would have to go in a training of 5 days to figure out how NSX works. With this, if they know how a VPC works in AWS, they should be up and running in 4 hours or so. So, especially the use case that I think is important is that we think that most of you kind of deploy application in a virtual machine for factor in this way. So we have some type of automation, or maybe it's manual, but fundamentally you deploy a baseline operating system virtual machine. Maybe you have the latest security patches, but then the application owner needs to jump in on those kind of generic VMs and give them a personality, and adding all the application packages, and then asking for all the networking and security requirements to enable the connectivity that is required. Now, if this automation, or you cloning a template, put the VM in a VPC itself, then you can give the application owner direct access to the firewall and security configuration of this VM, so that they can manage the security themselves. Of course, you will provide some higher level policies that kind of baseline the security policies, so maybe they don't give them access to the most critical systems, but at the more granular level, you can fundamentally provide a firewall as a service solution out of the box. So without VPC, this was really hard. Our customers would spend a lot of time in automation, creating custom automation to provide a custom firewall as a service solution. With VPC, we can do security out of the box in a self-service way. And okay, I went faster than I expected, so I have another session, but a few minutes. If you got any questions or things to discuss, I'm happy to discuss it here. Any question or that you want to talk about? No? Who is using NSX here? Is anybody using NSX right now? Okay. Is this VPC thing interesting? Yes? Okay. All right. That's good. We are getting a lot of good feedback about this feature, so that's good to hear. Wrap it up. Close. I'm done. So, those are my contact information. Feel free to reach out if you want to have a one-to-one meeting. I'm available.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming out today, sitting in the session. So if you're familiar with Veeam, you know that we provide backup and replication for virtual environments. But you might not know that within the Veeam data platform, we have a monitoring and reporting tool that not only monitors your backup environment, but also your virtual environment. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today, and that tool is called Veeam One. So businesses today are facing some challenges. They are unsure if their backups are finishing successfully. Maybe they're missing their SLAs. They're experiencing issues with machines in their environment. Maybe they aren't running efficiently. They're running out of resources. Maybe they're over-provisioned or under-provisioned. They're running out of storage space. They're worried about security. Everybody's worried about security, making sure that their data is protected, making sure they're keeping unauthorized access out. And machines are not running effectively. So to help with these challenges, we're introducing Veeam One. So Veeam One's going to provide that visibility into your environment so that you can fix these issues and make sure that your data center is running optimally. So Veeam One provides day one visibility. You can monitor resource usage for your virtual machines. You can see in this view here, you can see how much provision space has been assigned to that virtual machine, how much use space it is using, and the CPU and memory usage. So you can adjust the resources where necessary. So if machine isn't utilizing all the CPU that you've assigned to it, you can reclaim some of those resources and assign it to a machine that might not be operating at the level that it needs to be operating at. So within this view, you can see the infrastructure objects, see your virtual machines, and really understand